Don't play with it, don't be dishonest. Still not understanding.
So what's up YouTube, it's your girl Jika K and I'm back with another video. If you're new here, please like, comment, and subscribe. And if you've been here before, welcome back, gang. Alright, so this video is just basically gonna be me just unpacking some things and just trying to process, well, not really process some things, but just trying to get some things off of my mental. I saw a video here on YouTube and it just kind of inspired me to tell a part of my testimony of some of the things that I've gone through in my life. So this video is going to take a lot of courage from me because I never imagined myself, talking about this on camera and putting it out here for the public to see, because I've always been afraid of like how I would be viewed after, putting this out there. But I'm starting to learn to let God use me through my channel, and I'm starting to actually do videos where I'm like super vulnerable, because I pray that somebody in life will come across the video and that it will help them. So yeah, I'm just gonna come out and say what I have to say. So for those of you who have been following my channel for quite some time, then you know that I have a daughter. Her name is Carly. She passed in 2019. She was a stillborn. Like I said, I never really talked about this before, but I just felt like I should just get this out. And I saw a video that inspired me to want to talk about this. Sometimes I have to fight the thoughts of feeling like me losing my daughter was my karma. Like sometimes I feel like the reason why I lost my daughter is just my karma, because there were some things that I ignored, with her father, and I just feel like me just losing my daughter was my karma. And I'm gonna tell y'all why I feel like this, because like I said, I've never opened up to anyone about this except for maybe like a few close friends, at least maybe two, and my sister. But when I got with my child's father, it was like magic. I met him on Easter on my birthday. I can't really remember the year, but in the beginning, everything was it was fine. It was peachy. It was too good to be true. And I remember asking him, like, okay, you're just too good. Like, what's wrong with you? Like, do you beat on women? I just remember I kept asking him, like, you're just too good to be true. So I was right about that. So a couple of months into us dating, I wouldn't say he took a turn, because it was still pretty good, but I had started noticing like certain behaviors, but it's not really nothing to be alarmed about, to be honest.
The red flags was just looking like six flags. So I did have a lot to be alarmed about, but the red flags, I thought it was six flags. So yeah.
But I can remember like very clearly one day just, being in the car with him, and we were just talking about some things. And so he asked me if I knew a certain girl. And so I told him, yes, I know her, like she's from my city or whatever. And that was that. It was nothing more than that. He mentioned how he used to go with her back when she was going to school in a particular city. I can't really remember. But that was pretty much, all that it was. I didn't think anything of it. I, continued on we continued on our relationship because, like I said, he just really only asked me if I knew the girl, and then he just simply told me, like, they used to date. He didn't say how long ago or whatever, but I just was like, oh, okay, cool, because I believe I asked him if he knew anybody from, my city or whatever, because my child's father is not from where I'm from. But yeah, that was all that it was or whatever. And so I don't even think I
I
would.
do want to
I don't even
add
think I
that
asked
my
him
child's
if he knew
father
anybody
was
here,
my
which was
first
another
real
kind of like a
relationship.
small
This
red
was my
flag because
first boyfriend.
I really want to say he just out the blue just asked me if I knew the girl, or whatever. But like I said, it was not nothing for me to be alarmed. I just told him like, yeah, I knew her, and once he disclosed that they used to date, I was like, oh, okay, so you do know some people from, my city or whatever, and that was that. So, time went on, and like I said, it was just magic with my child's father. Like, everything was just so good. Like, we would always be on the phone, we would be texting, we would always be on FaceTime together. Like, we would basically spend the entire day, like, in contact. Everything was good. You know how that goes or whatever. So, like I said, time went on and we eventually grew closer. Things did not really get bad with my child's father until maybe like I would say 5 months in, and I can't even say it really got bad. 5 months in is when we broke up. He broke up with me one day while I was at work. That's the worst. But he basically was just like, we had a conversation and he brought up the fact about having kids or having a baby or something like that. I can't really remember because this is 2024 and this happened like in 2018, somewhere up in there. I can't really remember. But he brought up, the act of, having kids together. And I just basically told him, I never thought about having a baby and that, I don't think that I'm ready for that or whatever. And so he basically broke it off with me. He said, well, you don't want kids and I want a baby right now. So, you're not trying to give me that. So bye. So that's basically what he told me. He told me just like that. He was like, well, you don't want kids. He was like, I want kids and you don't. So bye. It was just like that or whatever. Keep in mind, there was a huge age gap in between me and my child's father. I don't, it's kind of my fault because I didn't think to ask, like, I don't know, I think I kind of moved too fast with him, but it wasn't, I'm just rewinding, it wasn't until our first date is when I realized that he was not even 21. Like, we got ready to go into a pool hall and he couldn't get in. And I just was like, exactly how old are you? I want to say at the time he was 19 and I was probably like 23, I want to say, because now I'm 29 and he is like, I'm not sure, 25, 26. I don't remember. I really can't calculate it, I'm sorry. But yeah, he basically was like, he wanted kids. I didn't want kids, so this wasn't gonna work. So bye. And I remember just being so heartbroken at work. Like I couldn't function. Like I literally wanted to clock out and just go home so I could process everything. Like my life is ending right now. Like my man just broke up with me while I'm at work. So you know how that goes or whatever. So we broke up and we was broken up for maybe like a month, I want to say. And so one day I'm on social media and I just happened to be like looking at the stories on top of, on that was back when I had Facebook. I just happened to be scrolling on my page And then I just paused in the story area because I'm just going through the stories, and then I see in the little square thing like a little preview video, and I'm just like, that looks like you know who. And so I click it, and it's him with the girl that he asked me if I knew. So we broke up, and he started dating her again. And so I remember just thinking, like, this sneaky little, I'm just like, okay, wow, bet that up. I didn't think nothing else about the situation. I was a little hurt. I'm not the messy type of female, so I went on, with my life or whatever. And I remember telling my friends, I'm just like, what happened or whatever and stuff like that. And that was it. I went on with my days trying to get over it and just be okay with it. Keep in mind, this girl is steadily my friend on Facebook, so I could see the stories that she would post. I'm not sure if she knew me and him was dating, after they broke up or whatever, but I'm pretty sure she probably did or whatever, and that's probably why she, was kind of doing the most on her stories and stuff like that. But like I said, I'm not the messy type, so I was hurt by it, so I really didn't want to see anything like that. So I stopped watching her stories. That's just how I am. I stopped watching her stories because in the beginning I never was the type to watch her stories anyway. It just happened to be one day I'm scrolling in the preview, looked like I saw who, and so I'm just like, so I looked at it. But yeah, he broke up with me and he started back talking to her or whatever, and I was heard about it, so I went on with my life, whatever. I continued to be me, It was okay. I was a little hurt, but it just proved everything. I was like, that's why he was just too good to be true or whatever. So, like I said, I'm not the messy type of female, so I don't do any picking. However, I did start seeing the girl around, and stuff like that, and I knew that she knew that me and him had dated because I could just tell the energy was just different or whatever. She would see me, it's like she would purposely, speak. I would see her before, and we would just casually just, walk past each other. It was never, any kind of friendship or anything. I just knew of her or whatever. But, this particular time, the times I would see her, I would, see her at the corner store, and she'd be like, hey, Drika, like that. And I just be like, hey, just like that, just simple or whatever. And so, like I said, I'm not the messy type. I'm not. So I never really picked. I didn't pick at her at all. And I can't even say she picked at me or anything, but I could just tell small things that she would do, she would be trying to kind of get at me or whatever. So time passed, and within that time I ended up moving into my own place, my first apartment or whatever. Around this time, and I moved into my place, I want to say it had been maybe 3 months after me. It had been 3 months since me and who had been broken up or whatever. And so I got my own place, and one day I'm just moving my stuff into my apartment, and this is the coincidence because I completely had forgot. While me and him were dating, I forgot at one time he asked he was like, let's go to my sister's house, because he only stayed 30 minutes away from, my city or whatever. So he drove to come see me one day, and when he came to my city, he was just like, I want to go see my sister because she stays here and she stays in such. So I remember driving with him. We was in his truck, and we went to the apartment complex where his sister stayed, which is where I ended up getting my very first apartment. I had completely forgot that his sister stayed in that apartment complex or whatever. So had not seen him in like 3 months, only on the internet, had not seen him in person, had not had any contact with him or anything like that. So I remember one day I was getting off of work, and so I was driving into the apartment complex, and something like hit the back of my car, and I'm just like, I remember thinking like, what the heck, or whatever. And so I look back, but I don't see anybody. He had literally hit the back of my car with his hands, because I mean I was coming through slow. I don't know how I did not see him or whatever, but I remember just, getting home. Sorry y'all, the battery, I mean not the battery, but I ran out of space on my camera, so I had to clear some space up, but I'm back. But I remember just thinking like, I hope I ain't hit nothing, because I mean, it was like, doom, it was hard or whatever. So I was like, I hope I haven't hit anything or hit nobody. So I go in the house, and so I'm just, I'm unwinding. I'm just getting off of work. I had already brought a few things in from my car, because I still had a few things to move, from out of my car into my house or whatever. So I had done that, and then I go back in, and like I say, I'm unwinding. I'm taking my shoes off. I'm unstrapping my bra. I'm pulling my wig off, or whatever. And I remember getting a text on my phone, and it was like, hey, I didn't recognize the number, because I think he had got a new number. And so I was like, who is this? And I remember I didn't get a response until like, maybe like an hour or whatever. And so he was like, such and such, I'm not gonna say his name. And I was like, oh, that's when I sit back. And then he was like, can I come talk to you? And so I'm just like, I kind of delayed. I didn't say anything back, as a matter of fact. I didn't say anything back. And then he double texted, he says, I saw you today. And I was like, where? And then, he tells me where he saw me at or whatever. And then he was like, I really need to talk to you. He was like, can I come talk to you or whatever? So I didn't say anything back. And so I basically just left him on red or whatever. And I began to continue to unwind or whatever and go about my day. And so I get a knock on the door. Doom, 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 doom. I'm just like, who is this? Because keep in mind, I'm just now moving into my apartment, or whatever. I haven't really started having company or anything like that or whatever. And so I go to the door and I'm like, who is it? And they're like, such and such. No, really, he didn't say anything. So I was like, who is it? And I really couldn't see, because he had the peephole covered up, and I don't know, I didn't think to just, look out my curtains to see who it was. No, I think I did look out my curtains and saw, who it was or whatever. And so, of course, I missed him. So I opened up the door for him. First mistake. I opened up the door for him. And so I let him in or whatever, and we was talking or whatever, and we was talking about, what had happened that day when he broke up with me, and, he told me he was sorry or whatever, and that he was moving too fast, and that he just has always wanted, a baby or whatever. And I'm just like, I'm telling him, I understand, or whatever like that, or whatever. Just really happy to be there and just to be in his presence, whatever, because I really liked him. I really did. And so that was that. We talked, and that was that or whatever. And he ended up telling me, like, he stayed here in my city now. Like, really, or whatever. And he told me, he was staying with his sister at the time, and that he was looking for a job here. So I was like, oh, okay, cool or whatever. So he left. And we continued to, to text my phone and stuff like that. He would come over and chill with me and stuff like that. And, we would just have a good time. We would cook together, just kind of like picking back up where we left off at or whatever. And so one day he asked me if he could get a ride from work because he didn't have a way home or whatever. So I was just getting off of work, and so I was like, okay, sure. I was like, where do you work? And he told me Walmart. So I was like, okay, cool, because I had to go to Walmart anyway. Like, I had to go get a few groceries or whatever for the house, so it worked out perfectly or whatever. And so, me thinking I'm about to drop him off, back at his sister's house, I ended up dropping him off at another location in another apartment complex, and he told me he was staying in an apartment complex with a friend of his. And so I was like, oh, okay, cool. So, he found a roommate or whatever. And he was like, yeah, something like that or whatever. I thought nothing of it. So we continued to see each other. Like I said, it became like a routine. I would get off work and then I would go to Walmart to pick him up or whatever. And sometimes he would come back to my place and we would just cook that night or, just spend time together or whatever. I didn't think anything of it because we did it like, so many times. Like, we would call it like, date night. And it became like a regular thing, at least, 3 or 4 times out the week or whatever. And so like I said, I didn't think anything of it until like one day I got a text on my phone and he was just like, can you come pick me up? And so I was like, yeah, where are you? And then he told me, he was home, which was, the apartment complex. So I was like, okay, cool. He was like, and I also want to talk to you about something. And so I was like, okay, cool. So I go and I pick him up. And we go back to my place or whatever. And so he begins to tell me, like things aren't working out in the apartment with his roommate, which was his homeboy. He said things weren't working out, back at the place, and that he needed a place to stay. And he was basically asking if, he can move in with me. I did not think it through. And I remember thinking like, I don't know about this because at the time, I'm just thinking like, I'm just moving into my own spot. I don't want to dismiss the blessing from my father, like just in case if something happened, being able to, be like, hey dad, I need this, because of course if I did that, it would be different because like now I have a whole man staying with me, But yeah, he basically, asked if he could move in with me, and I remember I said yes. And so he was like, okay, tomorrow we gotta go get my stuff. Okay, so tomorrow came. I took him to go get his stuff. Please tell me why. When he went in the house, I guess he was packing his stuff up. Out walks the girl, y'all, out of the house. Out walks the girl out of the house. And like she's throwing his stuff outside and like she's kicking his boxes, and my face is just like, so mean. Like I said, I'm not the messy type. I'm not confrontational. I'm not anything. I was really confused. I was scared. I don't even know how to process, what's going on, because you told me you stayed with your homeboy, and I mean, I didn't think that I had to check that out, and I remember like several times he invited me to come in or whatever, but I was always just like, I have my own place, so like, I don't really have to, come in. I never thought to, just because I know you share this apartment with your homeboy, or whatever. So I didn't think I really had to check that out. But she comes out the door, like I said, she's throwing this stuff everywhere. She's kicking his boxes. She's cursing, this, that, and the third. And I'm just sitting in the car like, what the heck is going on? Like, I'm confused. So he comes to the car and I'm just like, I'm like, such, you need to explain to me what's going on right now. And so he's in the car. He's like, just go. He was like, drive. And I was like, no, what's going on? He was like, look, I don't want to talk about it right now. He was like, when we get home, he was like, I'm sorry, when we get back to your place, he was like, I could talk about it. He was like, right now my head is just, unclear and it's foggy. And I said, I was like, how do you think I feel? Or whatever. And so I drive off and I'm just like, I'm really trying to process everything. He's not saying anything. He's just sitting there looking straight ahead. I'm just driving because I'm still confused on what's going on. But at this point, it's pretty clear. Like, he's been lying and he's been staying in this apartment with this girl this entire time and I just did not know. And so, I remember like once we got home, I wanted to give him a chance, to bring it up first because